Welcome to our first webinar here at ThoughtWorks to talk about the Junior Consultant Program and learn more about ThoughtWorks, okay, and hopefully to kick off your interview process. I'm Julie Connors. I do work on the Junior Consultant recruiting team and help you through the hiring process here at ThoughtWorks. And this is...
Hi, I'm MJ. I'm a consultant here. I work as a developer mainly, and I started as a junior consultant, went to TWU, and all of the other exciting things you're going to hear about shortly.
Cool. Let's go ahead and get started. So some of the things that we want to talk about today are, who we are as a company, what the Junior Consultant Program is all about, and, answer any of the questions that you might have, okay? Along with some logistical things, too. So... basically, what is ThoughtWorks? We're a community of passionate individuals. Our purpose is to be part of revolutionizing how we create software and deliver software, and while creating a positive change in the world. That's a big part of who we are. We are a global consultancy. We are, we have offices all over the world. But what does this really mean? What does it really mean to be a software consultancy? Well, it means a couple different things. So, ThoughtWorks, we deliver quite a variety of things. So some of it is around delivery and working on development of applications and delivering it to our clients. Some of it is around consulting, where we're there to influence how our clients build software and using best practices. And then there's ThoughtWorks Studios, which is our products, where these products were developed to help us manage our software delivery. So there could be a chance in the future that you would get to use something like Mingle or things like that, or perhaps work on an open source project. Today, though, our discussion will be around the professional services side of ThoughtWorks, which is the delivery and consulting side for the most part. Okay, so how do we do this, right? How does ThoughtWorks keep their vision intact and make sure that we are moving forward with the ideas that we hold dear to our hearts? Well, this is we came up with a pillar system. We after many years, we're 20 years in the making here at ThoughtWorks, and a lot of these things are themes that have always been part of ThoughtWorks, and so we kind of define them as the three-pillar system. And these pillars are there to help us help guide us make decisions at ThoughtWorks and what we do. The three pillars are sustainable business. That's pillar 1. Pillar 2 is revolutionize IT. That's pillar 2. Pillar 3 is social and economic justice for pillar 3. And as you can see, they kind of hold up all of the other ideals around us. The roof and the floor of this graph is ideas that are all intertwined throughout all three pillars. And so you'll see how that works as we talk about each one individually. All right. So pillar 1 is business sustainability. This is a big deal, right? We have to be a sustainable business in order to have a lot of opportunities that we want to have in the world. So some of this is revolving around who we work with and who we seek out as clients. We want to make sure that we are working with other corporations that have like-minded ideals, whether it's around social and economic justice or even just the type of technology that we're using and that driver there. So we take great care about selecting who we want to work with and
Who we hired to do the job.
Yeah, definitely. That's a big part too. That as some of you know or will know that our recruiting process is a little vigorous, and this is because we want to make sure that we're hiring and bringing the right people that share this kind of vision into ThoughtWorks to help us grow and continue with that.
Yeah, an interesting fact in this slide is there's a photo at the bottom with some people in it, and these are all ThoughtWorkers who've been here on average, I'd say 12 to 15 years. They're still here. You'd see them around the Chicago office or New York or all over the world, actually. And it's this is a picture of them all looking very young, actually. It's pretty funny.
Yeah, I think this is actually them opening a Porto Alegre in Brazil about 3 or 4 years ago.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
So some trivia. We'll ask you this in the end, so remember.
Yeah. Please take notes.
All right.
All right, so moving on. So we have pillar 2, right? So that's revolutionizing IT. This is all our inner geeks coming out here. Now, you might have thought about ThoughtWorks and talked about ThoughtWorks and maybe received a lot of blank stares because we are not a household name like some big corporations are. But we are definitely known in the tech community. If you're connected to that, at some point you've probably run across a book, a blog, a ThoughtWorker, a conference, at different places where someone at ThoughtWorks has been a part of it, has influenced what you've done, are working on, or how you think about technology. So this is a big part of a driving factor for us. We want to be able to use new technologies and work with new technologies. It's a lot of fun to be in a consultant position where our projects change and we get to move on and have that opportunity.
Yep, and we really try to focus on also giving back. So every time we learn something new, we're encouraged to blog about it, to answer questions in Stack Overflow and other, like if there's questions in the tech world, we take huge initiative in finding answers and answering them so that people just improve in the way they're working.
Yeah, for real. And some of the other ways that we do this is through publishing the Tech Radar. This is available on our site, our website, probably done about twice a year. This helps guide a lot of conversations. Maybe it's with our clients. Maybe it's actually amongst colleagues and having debates. I think that happens a lot when coming up with the Tech Radar of figuring out where technology is falling. Is it kind of dropping off where maybe we shouldn't be using it anymore? And maybe we should be adopting new technologies that are out there and utilizing them. So this is one of the ways that we try to influence the technical community. Also by ThoughtWorks we really want to promote our ThoughtWorkers and empower them to attend and speak at conferences, write books and blogs and different things that are out there. This is a big part of who we are, and we want everyone to have these opportunities and get out there and be a part of that.
The community.
Of that community, right. So you'll know there's a lot of authors and luminaries that work here. I know MJ is currently working on a speech for a submission for a conference, and we have lots of people who are out there trying to get out there and be a part of that community and influence it.
Yeah, it's interesting. When I started in this office, I came in and sat down at a table, and I had questions about Ruby, and somebody says, "Oh, you should ask this guy who's sitting next to you," and I did, and the guy answered. And later on, I found out he's actually a co-author of JRuby. And those are the kinds of people you'll see all over, and it's great because you learn a lot. But they also make you think in ways that you can maybe one day become like them and contribute a lot to these huge things out there and stay a legend or become a legend.
Right. Yeah. But also that's kind of testament too of just like the learning and feedback that happens here at ThoughtWorks, right?
Yeah. You're
sitting next to some of the people who have written these books, right? And so being able to have these discussions, learn from them, and they also want to be able to learn from you. That's kind of the very supportive learning type of environment we have here at ThoughtWorks. So cool. All right, let's go ahead to Pillar 3. This one covers social and economic justice, and this is a broad topic here. It covers a couple different things. We have let's see. Well, we can start off with talking about the social impact program. That's a big part of the social and economic justice work that we do. So the SIP program, or social impact projects, are projects that we work on where we align ourselves with organizations that we feel are that share our values, that we need a technical solution and we want to be able to provide that, and that we feel aligned with. You'll see some of the names of different groups that we've worked with in the past and are currently working with. And this is also growing into having a more focused initiative around either healthcare solutions and also around activism solutions and being part of that community. So this is a big part of who we are. No matter what you're working on at ThoughtWorks, obviously we have to think about pillar one, right? So business sustainability. We do need to work with major airlines and financial institutions in order to be able to do these other projects, probably at a discounted rate or pro bono. But it's good to know that no matter what you are doing at ThoughtWorks, you are contributing to the overall Pillar 3 outlook of being able to work on these projects, being on a fully billable project, compared to being staffed on a social impact project.
Yeah. And so, yeah, Pillar 3 is something that every thought worker, it's our most dear pillar. But yeah, we do stay very wary of balancing out Pillar 1, Pillar 2, and Pillar 3 so that we can actually make an impact in the end, and we're not just all talk and end up doing nothing.
Yeah, right. And that's why they're pillars, and all three of them are important. If one is higher than the other, the roof crumbles, or that type of thing. So let's see what else goes into social and economic justice, right? So this when I talk about it being a broader topic, this is about affecting change in the world beyond just providing technical solutions. This is also about helping change the face of IT. This is about helping correct historical discrimination throughout the globe. Some of the ways that we've done it here in the U.S. Through recruiting in general, this is pretty recruiting specific here, I guess. We work a lot with the different types of organizations. We take part in conferencing and different groups and meetups with Grace Hopper, NSBE, which is National Society of Black Engineers, and SHIP, which is Society of Hispanic Professional Engineers, along with running and working as coaches at with different organizations such as Rails Girls or Black Girls Code. Black Girls Code, I know, is a group that reaches out to middle school African American girls and teaches them how to build a website basically in a weekend. MJ, I know that you've done some stuff with Rails Girls.
Yeah, it was an amazing experience. It was interesting. So Rails Girls started by the Rails Initiative, and they wanted to teach younger women, how to learn to code. And since it was Rails, they picked Ruby on Rails. And it's a 2-day event, and we invite women in the tech community of all ages. It doesn't have to be just, but we do invite, graduating high school seniors, college students, and then any age group to come in, learn this. We also do lots of talks and basically share what we've learned about Ruby on Rails or anything in general in technology. And they do the same. And it's awesome because you see that the aha moments happen to people, and it feels great. But it's also awesome because you meet coaches from other institutions that you learn a lot from, and we love that here, to be able to meet other really smart people who teach you all these little things you never knew before. So and then you also grow to become friends because you keep running into each other in these different tech community events, and it's pretty great because you can reach out to people in the community here, and especially the more women you know, it's even more empowering.
Yeah,
you feel really good about yourself. So,
cool.
Rails Girls was a lot of fun.
Cool. So those are some examples of how we try to affect change, at least here in the States, in changing the face of IT. So those are our 3 pillars. Again, business sustainability, revolutionizing IT, and social and economic justice. And that's really how we get to base a lot of our decisions and our thought process about what we do here at ThoughtWorks. So next, let's go on to talking about the Junior Consultant Program. Just a little overview of kind of different things that happen about what happens when you're hired, right? So it starts off with a little bit of pre-assignment, some work that has to happen actually before your first start date. This is some technical reading, some assignments, things to work on and submit so that you can arrive here in Chicago for your first week of new hire orientation here at ThoughtWorks, and you spend 1 week here with your class, actually finishing up some of those technical assignments, the things that you had been working on prior to starting. And then after that, you're going to be part of ThoughtWorks University. You're going to be staffed on projects. You're going to have a support system around you, such as your coaching and classes that continue on, especially during the first 12 to 18 months. I know a lot of you are wondering, what exactly is TWU? What does that even mean? Well, it means ThoughtWorks University, and it's really just our cute, clever name for global internal training, basically. And this is something that MJ's been a part of. MJ, do you want to share any experiences that you've?
Sure. Just before that, I guess it is 5 weeks in India, and the basic goal is to get you familiar with the company, with the way we work, different roles, responsibilities, expectations. It also introduces you to something we're very proud of, which is our culture. And it's funny because at the end of it, you'll come out saying our culture, not ThoughtWorks' culture. And that's something which was very transformational about TWU. I like to joke that it's almost a mini summer camp, but then you go in and you come out loving everyone you've worked with. You make friends from all over the world, and it's your instant network inside of ThoughtWorks. You meet people. So my class had people from about 5 countries. Brazil, Australia, UK. We had people from India, people from the US, and you had trainers also from all over the world. And it's nonstop fun. You learn a lot, but what they really focus on is to get you comfortable to figure out what you don't know, and to be able to ask questions to help learn. So that's what I loved the most about it. There was no pressure. Although people are working with you and giving you feedback, you don't feel judged. You're let loose. You can do what you want, make your mistakes, and people are there to give you support and tell you what all you need to do in order to overcome some of the difficulties you have at work, etc. So that was my experience at TWU.
Cool. And that's hearing that the last point you were making there. That is one of the things I love most about ThoughtWorks, is really kind of this feedback culture we have, where it all comes from a good place, and it's a very trusting community and collaborative environment. So you really hear your feedback and know that it's really coming from, wow, I can really improve on this, and someone really wants to make sure that I know this and can improve. So it's pretty cool. So it's MJ went 3 years ago now,
yeah.
Right? It's changed a little bit, so it's gone from 6 weeks to 5 weeks now, and it is going to cover a lot of the same things. I think definitely talking about those basic, mastering those basic best practices, learning about ThoughtWorks in the business. I think there's going to be a lot more discussions around social and economic justice and what that means to ThoughtWorks and how we do that. And then, like you said, there's a lot of mentorship and mentoring and coaching that goes on throughout the whole session. Other questions that happen, though, is, because it's in India, right? So what is India like? Oh my gosh, right? So
hey, that's my class. I'm not there, though.
Oh, the rafting picture? Yeah. You're probably taking it. So a lot of things happen, right? MJ touched on the bond that happens. You're going through this really intense training. It's a steep learning curve, and just kind of this bonding that happens. And it's similar to what happens actually when you're on projects, because you guys are kind of in the trenches together and working through it. You for some people, maybe you've never left the country. This is a brand new experience for you. To go to India and to even leave maybe the U.S. or North America. So it really can help broaden your thinking. And then there's opportunities on weekends, if as long as I guess all your training and everything's being taken care of right during the week, that to do some independent travel. Where were you guys, MJ, in that picture?
This was a class, our entire class and our trainers. We all went for a camping trip about an hour out from Bangalore. And actually, a lot of people in this photo aren't even part of our class. There were other people from the ThoughtWorks India office that I can see. But it was amazing. We spent a weekend out with no bathrooms or anything. And like we were also, even I'm from India and even I was like, well, what are we doing? But somehow, I mean, it was organized really well, but it was a great experience. We did a lot of rafting. We went rappelling down this like mountain, which was kind of
Wow.
cool. Yep, there was lots of games and there was a fireplace. There was drinking. It was fun.
Cool, cool. And I know some people try to make the trip up to Taj Mahal and
Yeah.
different things like that. As far as what else it will be like. We do have corporate apartments that you stay in. MJ mentioned, there's a lot of people that are just from the Bangalore office that are there to give you tips about where to eat and where to hang out, and neighborhoods to visit or shopping areas to see or things like that. So you do have this community around you already there who are ready to, and excited to tell you about their city and share it with you. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, and Bangalore itself, at least where our office is and where we stay, is fairly. It's in the heart of the city, so there's always stuff to do, and there's always people, so it feels it's safe and it's sort of. I mean, it lets you safely explore, which I really liked, especially because there were a lot of people who had never been there before, and when you wanted to take them out, you wanted to make sure you're not totally challenging everything they're used to. So it was. I mean, our office is in a great location, so
Cool.
it becomes easier to travel.
Cool. All right. Okay, and then after that, after 5 weeks, you return, right? There's and what happens when you come back? So most likely, you're going to come back to Chicago, and we're going to get a couple things going here. We're going to have you. Our first goal is to try to get you on a project, assigned to a project as soon as possible. We want you to get out there, get your claws right into it, everything that you've learned, and applying that, and then continuing to learn, and closing more of your knowledge gaps, and being out there in front of the client too. I think that's a really good thing to experience. Being in front, working at a client site. So we get you out there, and the way that we're supporting you throughout that is through some of the continuing education classes. There's 20 per year that happen, and these are 20 Fridays throughout the whole year. All the juniors attend them, and these will cover different things like technical skills, consulting skills, and more internal operations. Everything from social and economic justice talks, but maybe recruiting or interview training, or how do I read that financial report that they share with us every week, that I can never figure out, so different things like that. So you have those classes. That's really there to help close some gaps. And this is because we want you to be continuously improving. So through your work on projects and your classes and closing your knowledge gaps, you're going to have a coach that's assigned to you that's going to help you with role-specific feedback. And then also your people lead will be meeting with you to discuss those feedback sessions that you have, so that there's no surprises for you. You know what your strengths are, you know how to leverage them, or someone will be there to help you figure out how to leverage them, and also you know what your knowledge gaps are, and you are an active part of creating your action plan to close those gaps. And so it's pretty cool. There's a lot of self-initiative around that first year, because it's really about, okay, I really, there was 5 things talked about at the client site today, and I have no idea what they are. And of course, I know not to tell the client that, but I'm going to go home and make sure I look these things up and take a look at it and try to come back tomorrow even better.
Yep.
Cool. So what happens during a project, though? That's a big thing. You come back and we get you staff. Sometimes you come back on a Saturday from India, and on Monday you might be on a project. So what does that mean? And I'm gonna let MJ talk about this.
That happened to me.
Yeah.
I went to TW, and the first week there, me and another girl who was in my class got news that as soon as we got back, the Monday morning, we were flying off to LA. So that was interesting because we had just we were jet lagged, and then we went off. But we got there, and so typically, as a JC fresh out of TW, you get on a project. There will be seniors there. They're not going to send you off completely and expect you to deal with things. But once you get in, you will be working on a team, and our main roles would be around, okay, you'll have analysts. There'll be business analysts, quality analysts, who are in charge of sort of very closely figuring out business requirements and chunking them down into workable units. As developers, your goal is to write the code to implement this and create the actual product. But most often, the three roles work very closely together. So I've paired a lot with QAs so that as I'm developing, I'm covering certain important points that they're thinking about in terms of quality, as well as they're learning, okay, this is how we're structuring the object of this particular domain, and does that make sense? And then how will I go about testing this, say with automated code or even otherwise, as well as with BAs so that they can explain to the business how we've implemented things if it comes to that. So pair programming is what we call it. And it doesn't always have to be developer to developer. It can be with any role. And as a new person, though, you will pair with someone more senior who will walk you through, okay, if it's a project that's already been going on, you will be told, okay, these are all the basic things you need to know to get stuff up and running. And there's other logistical things that differ from project to project. And there on out, you will always have a pair. And at any given point, if you feel, okay, I feel confident about this, I want to pair with someone more junior and bring them up to speed, you can do that. We usually encourage daily pair rotation so that everyone on the team gets comfortable and understands how it is to work with, how to pair with the other person on the team. Pairing, definitely an acquired skill. You'll learn that in TW, which I really appreciated. In the beginning, I'm like, wow, someone's going to talk at me the whole time. Like, I'm not going to be able to concentrate. But slowly, once you get used to it, it's really great because we all sit in big conference rooms and all roles are sitting together. There's music. We talk to each other. Any questions, you just holler across the table and you get an immediate answer. And we encourage our clients to sort of work that way as well, so that there's quick feedback. Everyone knows what's going on. Anytime you need something, you can quickly just switch to the person who has the best knowledge about it. So that's typically how it is. Another thing that's interesting is on a project, what was I going to say? I lost my train of thought. Sorry. Another thing that's awesome is when you learn say as a dev, I found that I really liked writing automated testing code because I felt like that was the first thing I understood the best about being a developer. I started as a person with no CS background at all. So I had to sort of say, okay, to be valuable on a project, I need to take some steps because I obviously couldn't code like a ninja, but I found that I had a flair for this. So I volunteered and became an automated QA for a while, and it felt like I was providing value, but I learned a lot about it, and then I could teach other people, and then that sort of helps you gain confidence when you move on to learn the next new thing, because once you learn something, you feel good at it, and you teach someone, you feel like you've gone that full circle. And they let you do that. You can switch around as long as you feel valuable and the team feels good about it as well.
Yeah, there's a lot of opportunity to have that kind of flexibility, I think, if that works. Which is pretty unique. Yeah. Pretty cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, let's see, some logistical things about ThoughtWorks, right? Well, okay, first off, locations. We have locations in lots of places. Most recently is Uganda. Now with our junior program, we are going to request that everyone spend their first year in Chicago, and after 12 months, we require all the juniors to move out to another U.S. city or Toronto. So somewhere in North America, I should say. Right now, we're looking to add people to, you start in Chicago at 12 months. We're looking to add people to Atlanta, New York, Dallas, and Toronto. San Francisco is a small possibility, although we have, for the most part, wrapped up the hiring for that city for the 2013 year. So something to keep in mind, that you spend 1 year in Chicago, we'd relocate you here, and then at 12 months we would also relocate you then to a different ThoughtWorks office in North America, where you can stay. It's not every 12 months you have to move. It's really just after. And that's because we want to have those 12 months together in the JC program in one city. We can have all those classes together. The support system, which I think is not always mentioned, just kind of that bonding amongst all the juniors, and then the new class comes in and bonding with them. That support system is invaluable, and it's essential to have it all in one location so that can happen. As far as all of these other offices, right? As you can see, Bangalore and Bangalore 2. There's lots of Bangalore offices, but all the other offices too, in all the other countries. We have plenty of opportunities to be able to relocate internationally. We ask that the juniors stay in the U.S. though for the first 2 years, or I should say North America because of Toronto. Sorry. Stay in North America for the first 2 years, and after that, if you want to be, have an opportunity to go work in South Africa or in China or in Australia, those discussions can happen. We're a unique company in the sense that we will transfer someone because they want to be transferred, and then as long as it aligns with our business, we can do that. But after 2 years, before we kind of release you out there into the rest of the world. So there's that. And then the other big thing with being a consultant in ThoughtWorks is about the traveling. Traveling's a big deal, right? So we have clients all over the country, and basically you're assigned to a project. You're going to the same project every week. That means you're flying out either Sunday night or Monday morning and coming home on Fridays. And this is pretty much every week of the year. So the great thing is you are traveling typically with the same team of ThoughtWorkers, so you do have that bonding experience that happens again.
And so in terms, again, when you start on a project, they will give you very clear details about logistics, including like, okay, these are the flights people take, these are the hotels they stay in, these are the cars from the airport, either you rent your own or you'll definitely have someone to pick you up, drop you off. During the week when we're all at work, we try to have dinner together. We try to do other activities. Some people go climbing, some people go running, some people go to bars. Whatever you want to do, we really encourage the team to get together and do lots of fun things after work. Go exploring the city that you're in. Also, another thing that's awesome is for the cost that you're flying from your home city to wherever you're traveling, you can fly anywhere else. So you don't have to go back home. You can go somewhere else and get to explore, travel other places in the country.
Yeah, visit your parents, visit your friends,
exactly.
Things like that.
And like my TW, I had 6 other people from the US, and we typically try to go somewhere together once every 3 months. We pick a place like Portland or Seattle or wherever we want to go, and we just go fly there because most of us are on a traveling project, and that becomes almost, we pay nothing to travel. So that's pretty great. Airline points are awesome. Hotel points are awesome.
Lots of vacations in the future will be for free, that's for sure.
Yeah. And also, though, some people don't always want to fly back, and that's fine as well. So instead of flying back, you can just expense hotel at the place you're at and just stay there if you're finding it too tiring. Sometimes they have corporate apartments. It's great because you can leave your stuff behind and things like that. That's happening more and more because that's being more cost effective than staying at hotels. Mm-hmm. So there's lots of things you can do with the travel, which is pretty great. Yeah. And you'll meet, if you go to another city with a ThoughtWorks office, you get to meet all of the ThoughtWorkers there, and that is always fun. So,
yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
One additional comment on that. In the first year, it's the traveling, I guess, freedoms are probably a little less, right? Because you have to be in Chicago for those classes. So at least 20 weeks a year, you have to be back in Chicago. And then if there's any other responsibilities you need to take care of, if it's coming in to help do interviews with recruiting, or maybe it's to do a workshop, or maybe come in for a home office day, we need you to make sure that you're in the offices. Once after that first year, after you go through your continuous education classes, there's a little more, at least half the year you're not going to be back in Chicago, So these are all kind of things that first year is really heads down, kind of, really finishing and kind of mastering these skills and becoming great thought workers. And
it's always fun to come back on a Friday especially to the Chicago offices. Everybody flies back, and it's really, really nice to be in the office.
It gets pretty busy, right? The beach is what we call the area where Everyone, yeah, the travelers sit, or maybe you're in between a project, and it's a lot of fun on Fridays because the table gets pretty full with everyone coming back into town.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, guys.
That's my class also.
Oh, we really loved all the pictures from your class.
Thank
apparently. Okay, so who has some questions for us?
Hi, I'm Neem.
Hi, Neem.
How often do you guys travel?
Well, I work on the recruiting team, so I have some, I don't travel like the professional service people travel, so there's probably, I'm going to say 6 weeks of the year where I'm flying to different cities.
But yeah, from a professional services standpoint, as a consultant, I would expect to travel every week. I have been actually, so I've been here for years, and for about 2 years and 8 months, I've been on the road every week. The last few months, I have been in Chicago, and so yeah.
I just want to do a check here. Can everyone hear us okay?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. And if can I make ask you guys for a favor? If you're not asking a question, could you maybe go on mute, because I'm hearing a lot of feedback. Or white noise, I should say. Oh, it's gone. Whoever it worked. Cool.
Hi, my name is Shreya.
Hi.
So I want to know more about the interview process which is going on, because I'm not clear about it.
Okay, sure. So our interview process, and I'm going to speak on the developer angle, but there's also a junior analyst track. But for our junior developers, you're going to fill out, we have a questionnaire that everyone fills out. There's a code review that we ask you to, so we can see a sample of your work. There's a phone screen with one of the recruiters, so either me or maybe Tess you've been in contact with. And then if all of that is looking good, we'll invite you in for office interviews.
Okay.
That's an outline of the process.
I'm sorry?
That's an outline of the process.
Okay, thanks a lot.
Sure.
Hi, I'm Sophie.
Hi.
And I was just wondering, I guess, when do you guys schedule the ThoughtWorks University in India? Like, do you just wait until you get a certain number of applicants that you're satisfied with, and how many are generally in the groups that go over?
Yeah, that's a great question. So they are scheduled for the year, and I'd say by the end of fall, beginning of winter, usually of every year, we'll have a good idea of what the schedule looks like for the following year. Right now, the classes that we still have available that we're still hiring for are for July 8th start, August 19th start, and October 7th start. And so the estimates of how big the classes are, the ones in the summer are larger just overall because of many of the different countries that are involved have the similar school system as ours, where summer is, graduation time, that kind of stuff. So the ones that are, the classes that are in January or March, typically, and October, are typically smaller. MJ was raising her hand there because she is going to be one of the trainers at the June and the July class this year. Yay!
Okay.
Full circle.
Yeah, hope to see some of you there.
Okay.
Yeah. Great question.
And yeah, the number varies, I guess, when we talked about the number of people who go.
Yeah, it varies. Typically, like that August class tends to be pretty big. But I anticipate, the reason they have a July and August class this year is because there's so many people in the summer. So, and so that's something to keep in mind, right? So that's the start date. That's the first week is in Chicago, and literally the Tuesday of your second week, you're on a plane to Bangalore. And then you're there for 5 weeks.
Okay.
So if you have any big major events happening in your life over those 5 weeks, you might need to go in a different class, that type of thing.
Hi, Alberto here.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi. You mentioned 2 positions, the developers and analysts. So is this junior consultant program geared to both, or?
Yeah, so we hire mostly junior developers, And so that, like MJ here, she's writing code. She was also doing some automated testing. That there's a lot of flexibility in role, but your role will be more around writing code and that technical end. We do have some positions for the junior analyst, and that is a mix of doing QA, quality assurance, and automated testing, but also doing some business analysis work. And then naturally, we kind of feel like naturally, eventually, you're going to go one way or the other, but we don't want to pigeonhole you yet, at this point, at the beginning. So why not do both? We just don't, the junior program does not hire as many analysts, so typically most people are developers in the process, but it doesn't mean that we don't hire analysts.
Yeah, and it's normally better, or not better, but we've seen that going from dev to analyst is easier than going from analyst to dev. So we're setting you up with, okay, start out as dev, and if you find that, okay, this is where your talents really are, and you're doing well, you can switch. But coming the other route gets a lot harder.
Yeah.
Thanks.
I'm Elise.
Hi.
So I just had a question about actually working at the client site. Do you spend a lot of time working really closely with the customer client side, or do you work mostly with the other thought workers there?
It depends on the type of project, but typically, yes. All of the projects I've been on, we've either paired with client developers as well. So our team is like either half thought workers, half clients, and then so we're all rotating pairs and doing the same thing. And sometimes, like in the more consulting type gigs, you have lesser thought workers, more of clients. But yeah, you spend a lot of time with them, and you pair with them either on writing code, but you definitely have at least all the meetings together, and we normally try to sit together in the same room, so they get to know you really well. Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Hi, I'm Adam.
Hey.
I was just kind of wondering about your company, and if a client comes to you with a project or something, and you think their company doesn't really fit with your business practices, your 3 pillars, do you ever decline them just based on their practices, or is that kind of like,
Yeah,
We have. A lot of times, so that's always a tough decision, right? And it's times there are times where we have maybe a company-wide or even just like regionally wide discussion around certain clients and what we think we should do.
Yeah. We'd also, like, whenever we hear about, okay, so even if it's an old-time client and we hear about something they've done, we definitely go back to them and ask them about this. And if we find that they're really not aligned, we don't hesitate to pull out.
okay, thanks.
Yeah, and we also, the other thing can also be, like Julie was saying, it is a tough decision, and but we do encourage the debate. So you'll see a lot of us arguing about different clients and things like that. But
right. I mean, I think it's always going to be hard to find perfect clients all of the time, right? So.
And even from a global perspective, like when we go to India, for example, we bring in a lot of the things around U.S. politics and try to apply it there, and it doesn't work. And again, we're all debating, but it's really interesting because you learn a lot. And ideal clients in different countries are fairly different.
Hey, this is David. Are all of your projects typically done through implementation, or is it ever just a recommendation that you provide?
We do far and few, though. We do what we call just like forget the exact word, but like a consulting, just a tech review where we go in and we assess the state of affairs, and we say, okay, your project is in great danger, and these are the things we recommend. But that's not as often, and especially as we're starting out in our careers, it'll mainly be a lot of delivery projects, which are actual implementation projects. So we're not a very typical, like the SAP type consulting. So we're not going to go in and crunch numbers and tell you. I mean, right now we actually have an emerging practice called analytics, where we do try to analyze data for our clients. But that as well isn't typical SAP type consulting. So most of ours is delivery.
I actually have another question.
Awesome.
So if you are a thought worker who is based in the US, do you typically only travel to US client sites? And similarly, if you were in India, you only travel to Indian client sites?
Yeah, for sure. So in the U.S., I would consider it U.S. and Canada, where you'd be traveling, and not every country that ThoughtWorks is in has that practice where we have to travel a lot. So I'd even say in India, actually, traveling is pretty minimal because the work is done in the ThoughtWorks office. But here in the U.S., our business is really based around being able to be at the client site and going out and meeting them and being with them and influencing what they're doing. So I know like we do that. I'm pretty sure Australia does a little bit of it. We probably have the heaviest amount of travel, actually, I think, in all of the different countries that we're involved in.
That's true. The UK has a little bit.
Yeah. So, but for the most part, you would be based traveling in North America.
So, are you always pair programmed? Like, do you always do pair programming?
Typically, yes.
Okay.
And slowly you find it even becomes that's the choice. So right now I'm on a 3-person team, and our fourth, I mean, we're actually 4 people, but one person's kind of going and helping another project. So it's just the 3 of us. We take turns where one of us are working by ourselves. It also depends on the kind of work you're doing. So typically, sometimes you find that there's a large amount of what I like to call donkey's work. So it's just like either just you're fixing like data structure or something where you don't really need 2 people to spend their time. We split off tasks, and one person will do some research while the other person does some amount of like data cleanup, and then we'll come back together and then collaborate again. So,
Okay.
but you'll always have a pair assigned to you. How you choose to go about the work you have in front of you is up to the pair.
Okay, got you. And so, how does your career path look like? I mean, do you evolve as a developer?
Absolutely. So when I started, I knew nothing about programming. I knew a lot about life, but
All right.
no. But so I started, and I was on a Python project, which was a lot of fun. Then I was on a Java project, and I got to learn a lot about Java and object orientation and other things. I was then on a closure project, and I learned a lot of Ruby while I was on this project as well. So in terms of just pure languages, I've learned a lot.
Okay.
I've also learned a lot around from the different people you keep working with. You learn styles of learning. So some people like to learn via books. Some people like to learn via blogs. Some people like to learn via coaching. And you get to pick up a lot of those snippets. So just in terms of pure knowledge, I've gone from 8 to sort of, I've learned a lot. The other thing you learn in terms of just for your career is soft skills like public speaking. You learn how to be a consultant, and because you're always working, even within like it's a very friendly environment, and there's a lot of camaraderie. So you feel confident in asking questions and quickly learning answers to things that you don't have to kind of be on Google for hours to find out something. You can just ask someone, and they won't judge you about it. So I found that I've increased the speed of learning because of that. But yeah, sorry, soft skills, public speaking. You learn how to teach. You learn how to take feedback in your stride. How to write emails. I found that's a very valuable skill that I did not have. Learned other really cool things like the recruiting team loves all of us to come in and do interviews, and that's awesome because that immediately gives you a stake in the company. It's a personal thing where you're like, okay, I want to hire the best people for the company. So you get to do a lot of all of that stuff. And there's also very clear guidelines in terms of your path. So like I want to grow as a developer, and I decided that maybe a year after I started. In the beginning, I honestly wanted to be an analyst. And that was fine as well. They just gave me the tools to work with for either. And then they have guidelines around, okay, these are the things you got to do. Like, for example, speak at a conference. Write your own application, gain confidence in coaching people and things like that. And you kind of go back and you talk to your mentor, you talk to leads, and then you go Typically, the JC program goes on for 2 years, and after which you graduate and become a consultant. Most people graduate in a year, so that's exciting. Where you go
Okay.
to be the consultant, then you go consultant to senior, senior to lead, etc.
Okay. So, do you get to choose your project or you're assigned one?
Well, as a junior, we're going to be assigning you on projects, and this is
Okay.
because we are in communication with your trainers at ThoughtWorks University. We know where you're at, we know where your skills are at, and we understand the
Okay.
project really well. So we know where you're going to fit in, what's going to be best for you. Eventually, after probably a year and a half or 2 years, you're going to be working closer with the staffing group here at ThoughtWorks to which we call resource management, to figure out what your next project is going to be and where you're going. But at the beginning, we are really taking that on. So that's like another moving part of being a consultant, right? We really want you to concentrate on being good with clients and a great developer, or whatever you're doing in your role on the project. All of those other moving parts that you're learning to navigate, we handle at the beginning, and for many different reasons. So then eventually you're going to be taking that over.
Okay, great. Thanks.
As far as software goes, I've heard you mention several different languages. How much variability is there typically between projects? Like, could you be staffed on a Python project and go directly into a Ruby project? How does that sort of work
Yeah,
typically?
absolutely, actually. But they definitely take into account your interest slash what you know and things like that, and the balance they have in the team. So sometimes it's great because like I've now, since I've gone through so many languages, I love to go learn something new. But oftentimes on my project, there's been a senior person who knows that language really well, so they can sort of do the good tech leading and set the right sort of tone to how we're going about implementing in this project, as well as teaching the more junior people the language itself. So that's how typically it happens. You'd have a balance between people who know the language really well and people who want to learn it, as well as so my first project, I was staffed on the Python project because we were only 4 of us, and we were the only 4 people in North America at that point who had any experience with Python. And
That's
so
what you knew coming into ThoughtWorks,
yeah, that's
right?
the only thing I knew coming into ThoughtWorks. So that's how I went there. I then went into the Java project because I wanted to be a part of a full-blown development team. And there were enough senior people in Java to pair with the JCs to bring us up to speed and teach us things we needed to learn. Then I ended up on the Closure project because I had the domain knowledge. It was in bioinformatics, and that was my major. So that's how I ended up staffed on that. And then there were senior tech people who knew Closure who could teach me that. Does that kind of answer your question?
Yeah, that's perfect. Thanks.
I actually have another question about the travel. So, like, how long are the typical stretches that you're at a particular client site, and sort of like, so ThoughtWorks flies you home every weekend. Is that cost effective compared to the person staying in the client site's area for the whole time? And what exactly does it mean to relocate to Chicago when you're traveling Monday through Friday?
That's actually a really great question. And the cost effectiveness is interesting because ThoughtWorks almost doesn't have a choice in that. They cannot tell you to stay somewhere else. If Chicago is your home, they will bring you home. And especially when you start out, there's a lot happening on Friday for the JCs and for people in general. We have tons of other activities. We have Women's Network Board meetups. We have like Black History Month is going on right now, and we're all dying to be a part of that. And we do a lot of random activities on Fridays. So if you're hired into an office, ThoughtWorks has to fly you to the office, which is why they do that. And it is a consulting, so we kind of budget for that. The second thing is, sorry, I forgot the second part of the question. Was it this?
Kind of just, it seems like, so you're traveling Monday through Friday, and I was just wondering, what exactly does it mean to relocate to Chicago if you're only there on the weekend, right?
Right. That's I guess so. It's typically Mondays to Thursdays, I would say, and Fridays you get to come back to Chicago. But yeah,
Okay.
it's Friday and then Saturday, Sunday. Usually Sunday nights. Like I fly out Sunday nights, not Monday mornings, because I'm not a morning person at all. So I like to sleep. But it's an interesting question. It's again a choice. If you find that your client is in another ThoughtWorks office, especially after the first year, you can ask to just work there if the project's going to go on longer and you find it tiring and things like that. But in terms of just quality of life, I didn't have any problem. I actually really liked coming back here because all of my friends were in Chicago, especially and all of my friends in Chicago are thought workers, and I know no one from outside. But
And so, everyone, has a home base, right? And you need to have your home base near one of our offices, right? The first year it has to be Chicago, right? So what I always suggest to people is don't get a big, super spacious apartment because you're weekends, right? So, either, a lot of times people will get roomies from ThoughtWorks University and end up roommating together. Or maybe you get a studio apartment near the lake, in the city. Maybe you've never lived near water before, so like that's a cool experience, and just someplace so that you can be on that you have as a home base on the weekends. Everyone, at ThoughtWorks, it depends on kind of what your lifestyle is, but everyone at ThoughtWorks does something similar to that.
yeah, and I mean, and if you are like a person who likes their home and decoration and being that comfortable, like there's plenty of people who do that.
Yeah, for sure. You want to make sure that your time in your home space is well spent, for sure. Susanna, her microphone's not working, so thank you for texting us. We didn't know, so I'm going to read her question here, guys. She asks, on the weekends, when you come back, what is your schedule or procedures? Like, do you do reports, or how does that work? Well, first, I will say, yes, you need to submit your time every single week, the hours you've worked, because that's how we bill our clients, which is how we get paid, which is how we get to pay you. So, yes, you have to put those in on time.
Yeah, so typically Fridays, depending, again, on the type of client, but you normally will have to work part of the day Friday for the client. Sometimes you don't even have to do that. Some clients are just Monday through Thursday, and then Fridays you get the day to do other things. But Fridays you normally have at least part of the day to do some of these activities, like do your timesheet, do your expenses, so that you get reimbursed for everything you've spent. Those are the two main reporting things you got to do. The other thing we try to do is
recruiting. Do interviews for recruiting.
No, yeah, it's doing interviews. There's on Fridays we try to hold meetups and other groups for us to do internally build our network, our community, and learn something new. Sometimes it can be working on a personal project with someone else on the beach. Some people go to continuing ed classes. Some people go to, like, we organize like the UX XP people, which is user experience design. They hold meetups. The Women's Network Board holds meetups. We show movies. Sometimes we just do beers and board games. There's all kinds of things that happen.
Lots of things, right? I mean, so it's not the typical 40-hour a week job, that's for sure, because you have to bill 40 hours, first off to the client. You also have to travel. And then there's all these other ThoughtWorks activities and things that happen. Now, as far as Saturday and Sunday, if you want to get specific about like real weekends, now there are activities that happen sometimes that we of course want to encourage you to be involved in. But unless you have, you don't always have to be involved in. If you have other obligations, we want to make sure you have time with your friends and family and time to recharge too. Yeah. I want to be conscious of time here, guys. It's 3:10. And it takes us to about a full hour. And I know MJ has to get back to her pair so she can keep working this afternoon, right? It's only 3 o'clock here, 3:15. Got 2 more hours to happy hour, I guess, right? Yeah. Any other final questions or anything that you want to blurt out? Remember, you guys will have a phone screen at some point, so you'll be able to ask some more questions if things come up.
I just had one quick question about the phone screen. Is that going to be more technical or more like a fit sort of interview?
It's still it will be with either with me or Tess, so it won't be technical. We want to hear your story and your backstory and find out more about you, and then answer some more questions for you and kind of dig a little bit deeper into your resume if we can.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. Guys, this is the first time we've done this webinar. Please email us some feedback if you have any of it. If you've been to webinars like this before, anything. We're a feedback culture. We want to hear it. So let us know if this was, yay, maybe not, or, maybe do something a little different to make it yay, or don't ever do this again. So let us know. We really appreciate the feedback. And we look forward to working with you guys with the rest of the interview process. Cool. How do we end? I don't know. Bye, guys. Thanks so much.
Bye.
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 Thanks. Bye.
Bye.